Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here basically we are discussing one of the topic that is PHP basically. In PHP, one of the person basically asked the question after watching this PHP video. So what do you mean by server here? Basically, can you please in detail basically explain what actually the server is? So Sunil thought that basically I should explain this server data basically server topic actually little bit detail basically. So you will not able to believe this basically after this video. That server is connected up to what level? So one of the person told that basically is the topic basically which we are going to discuss. One person basically told that assume that basically one person basically started the company. Somebody basically given the suggestion that Sunil basically you can purchase do one thing, you purchase IBM server basically. So he told that okay basically I will purchase IBM server. So behind basically IBM server was the story is like this. In India basically there are 15 business development officer for the software industry basically. So whatever projects basically you gets in the software company, any of the small company, any of the big company, that passes through that 15 business development officer. But they never came into the picture basically. Why? Because they're basically the business development skill or basically the business development techniques basically are converted into the server. So the exactly basically this was not clear. So just basically see basically how it's getting cleared. One business development officer basically got the business development project basically. So he basically got the business development project. So he basically got the business development project basically. So in this basically the project is like this basically. 15 business development of projects, 15 development, 15 business development groups basically are there. In 15 business development group basically, one of the business development officer basically told that basically I went to that area, I went to this area, I went to this area, I went to that area, I went to that area, I went to that area. Like this basically he designed the project basically. Design the project means after if you will do this type of activities, then only basically he will get the project. That basically like this basically he got the project. So he basically mapped this exact same thing basically according to the software industry. So he told that basically when you will connect to the one business development officer basically told that one business development company basically hired one IBM server. In that basically they hired one business development officer. So the company owner basically got some email IDs. In that email ID basically it was written that basically if you will write the email to this particular email ID, then you will be connected to that person. Then basically that person basically is going to give you this address. After this address basically you are going to connect to that person. After that person basically you are going to connect to that person. Like this basically one roadmap basically was designed. This roadmap basically, do you know who designed? That was the business development officer from the 15 basically. So in that basically he designed everything manually basically. He designed everything basically manually. So that manually basically he converted into systematic basically. That manually basically he connected into the systematic, that is the through email process. So like this basically the 15 email address basically if you will connect, then only basically you are going to get this project. So one of the person of the how that is possible here basically. One person basically will connect to that email ID, but how he is going to connect to that email ID basically? After that like this basically how this one chain basically is going to connect, and then basically after this chain basically he is going to get the project. How that basically generates? So one of the person told that basically is done by the IBM server basically. That is the IBM server. So the IBM server basically has designed that 15 business development people basically has designed like this many projects basically. One project basically we have already told. Like this basically they have designed 1 lakh projects. So in one PC basically, if you purchase this particular model of the PC, you will be going to get this type of 1 lakh projects through this particular roadmaps. So that was very strange basically. Yeah? So one of business development officer will sit at the particular his that server's client basically. That business development officer basically is having that are connected with is connected with that server basically, which was purchased by the company owner. So like this, he is connected with that client. So that IBM server will automatically do all the process. So you will not able to believe it basically. The computer will control his brain basically. If he is, if his company owner basically wants this particular business development officer should get this project, so you can't able to imagine basically the company owner basically is having the control of all the business development. So 1 lakh project basically when he basically want that project, that is also decided by the company owner basically. So आप मतलब यकीन नहीं करोगे, this was in Hindi basically, so you will not able to believe it basically. So one of the person told, are you sure basically yaar? That means the brains basically are controlled by the IBM servers. So one of the person told, it can't be imagined basically. मतलब you can't imagine the business development is designed like this. Like this basically the 15 business development officers basically are in India basically who designed the entire business of the software industry basically. So like this one of the person told that if its software industry is like this, then what about the other industries basically? So one of the person told that's very dangerous thing basically. That is actually very dangerous. That will connect to the satellites basically. So these 15 people basically who are basically the groups who designed certain level of roadmaps, and that roadmaps are basically dumped into that servers. So whenever basically the company owner basically purchase that server basically, he is going to get automatically the packages basically. That is the basically the ideas of the getting the projects basically, and that ideas basically are connected with the company owners basically. They basically decide which business development officer is supposed to get the project basically. So you can't able to imagine. So one of the person told the Sunil basically we can't imagine this thing basically. So one of the person told that if you want to check this basically check with the American governments basically. They basically are exactly knowing how the human business development brains basically are connected with the graphic mode basically. So one of the person told what you are telling this here basically. So like this basically. Assume that basically one business development officer basically sitting at the computer. He basically started thinking, he basically sent the mail. So that sent mail basically is drawn as a diagram basically that this business development officer basically sent the mail to this person. That person basically will check. He will connect to some other. Like this basically the chain basically are drawn in the image format in the one software basically. So that software basically is with the USA government basically. This type of thing basically software basically the India basically don't have. They basically might be having, but that is a nuclear power company. They might be having. So one of the person told that I can't believe this. Yes, so this is server. This is the very dangerous definitions and the examples of this, and this is the fact basically. This is the fact basically. Same way, developers, analysis, tester, project manager, software delivery head, CEO, vice presidents, brains are handled basically. If you want to check this, you can connect with the American governments and Indian governments. They have the exact roadmap of each and every success basically. So one of the person told that that's very dangerous thing. We can't able to imagine Sunil basically what you told just basically just now basically. So this is actually server. So one of the person told that you are thinking that basically American government might be knowing. So American government know this exactly basically. That's why they are American government. That's why they are